talking about, did the partition of Poland prevent war in Europe? So I've been kind of alluding to this for a while, talking about how Poland kind of wipes off the map for a while. So now we're actually going to talk about how the heck that happened. So think about the question, why is Catherine considered great? Part of the reasons why she's considered great is because of the partition of Poland and the land that this gained for the Soviet Union, for Russia. So first question, why was Poland not a strong state in Europe? So Poland is actually a large state. It's the largest European state in the east. It goes from the Baltic Sea almost to the Black Sea, and it's about 800 miles across from east to west. And most of it, though, is plain, so it's very flat, which has made it the victim of many different invading armies throughout its history. But like the Holy Roman Empire, it has an older political structure, and it never managed to develop into a more modern government system like we see in France and England, even in Spain. There was no army, there was no way to raise taxes, there was no real administration, and it was really divided up by various different competing nobles. The Polish king was elected, kind of similar to how the Holy Roman Emperor was elected. And every time it came time for the next king of Poland to be elected, a lot of countries would interfere. France in particular, Russia always would try to jockey for someone that would be more supportive of their political interest to get onto the throne of Poland. So Catherine the Great really wanted to be able to interfere in Poland whenever the heck she wanted. In 1763, she makes sure that her former lover, Stanislas Pontanowski, who basically is her puppet, gets elected as the king of Poland. She declares herself the protector of Polish liberties, and her real goal was to get complete control over all of Poland. Now, the countries of Europe are not just going to let Russia completely swallow up Poland. So then that comes to this question, why did Prussia want to partition Poland? So Prussia wanted to partition Poland so that Brandenburg could become more contiguous. So Prussia is usually referred to as Brandenburg Prussia. So we see that, and I've shown you maps before where you've seen Prussia, where Prussia is not all together in one area. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. So by partitioning Poland, this would be a way for Prussia to become more contiguous. And that was one of their goals. And this even comes up when we were talking about World War I and EP Euro, because they carve a little bit out of Germany to make Poland, which gets the Germans very upset and kind of helps contribute to World War II. Also, the war that was ongoing between Russia and Turkey, or the Ottoman Empire was showing a lot of weaknesses, and Austria and Prussia were fearing that if Russia continues to be victorious against the Ottoman Empire, that this would upset the balance of power in Eastern Europe. So the decision basically was leave the Ottoman Empire alone and divide up Poland, and this could potentially prevent a war between Austria and Russia. It seems kind of weird, but basically these three powers decided that this would tamp down any rivalries that they had with each other and lead to peace. And Poland, unfortunately, is kind of the victim in all of it. So how was Poland actually partitioned? So the first partition happens in 1772. And in that first partition, basically, you can see it here in this map, the outer portions of Poland is kind of like chopped away. Prussia gets some land, Russia gets some land, Austria gets some land, really just basically on the borders. And as a result of this, Prussia is finally contiguous. Now, at this point, the Polish people were like, well, crap, this isn't good. And there was an effort at a national revival in Poland. They wanted to try to create a government that could actually secure themselves against this outside threat. The problem was the movement was only the nobles. They didn't get the people involved, and a lot of people thought that the nobles were responsible for the situation in the first place because the power of the Polish state was so weak because the nobles were more concerned about their own power. So they never really got the peasants or the Jews on board, because there's a large Jewish population in Poland, by the way, because they felt like they didn't really care who governed them because their life is going to be kind of crappy and miserable anyway, so why should they get involved? In 1788, though, we do see an attempt to try to, staunch this partitioning. And we have the Polish legislature where the nobles would meet was called the Diet. So in 1788, we have what was referred to as the Four-Year Diet, where a reform party really began to gain strength. And in 1791, they came up with a new constitution that would create a king that was hereditary, that would strengthen the executive government, that would reduce the powers of outside powers in the country and give more power to the towns. Now, while this was going on, though, we also have the French Revolution. And a lot of the governments were afraid of the French Revolution, especially Prussia, Austria, and Russia. And they saw this, what was going on in Poland, this reform movement, as something that was similar to what was going on in France. So Catherine sends an army to Poland and she destroys the constitution. And then in 1794, we have the Second Partition. And you could see here, Prussia, Austria, and Russia take more land, and there's really just a little piece of land left to be Poland. And at that point, a major reform movement was led by the last king of Poland and another man named Tadeusz Kosciuszko, where they tried to kind of reform the country, save themselves, abolish serfdom. But again, they were put down in counter-revolutionary movements. Russia and Prussia invades. And then Poland is partitioned again. So after the third partition, there is no more Poland. It was seen by Prussia, Russia, and Austria as a diplomatic achievement. They're walking around patting themselves on the back. Look at this great thing we did. We prevented war. We replaced anarchy with a solid government in these countries. Balance of power has been preserved. But basically, that meant that these weaker states are at the mercy of the larger states. This idea of the balance of power was used to destroy an independent kingdom. It established basically that no one is safe, even in peace, that if you don't have military power, you're basically at the mercy of the stronger powers. If you can't keep out foreign infiltration, you're basically not going to be able to be independent. Some historians will say that this even foreshadowed the partition of Africa that we talked about in AP World. As a result of this, though, Prussia, Russia, and Austria become more contiguous empires. They gain more land, and they have the common interest of submerging all the various different nationalities that are now being divided up within their country. And again, Poland does not become a country again until after World War I. And then after World War II, they're kind of dominated by the Soviet Union because they're part of the Eastern Bloc, and they really don't get control over themselves truly until 1991. So in your opinion, though, was the partition of Poland a good thing or a bad thing for Europe overall?